Welcome to the Global Flag Football League podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Global Flag Football League podcast. Today, we're joined by a true game changer in the world of flag football, Jay Lawrence, the founder and chairman of the GFFL. Jay's journey is nothing short of inspiring. After a life-changing accident, he defied the odds and dedicated his life to making an impact, both on and off the field. From founding the Florida Stingrays, a nonprofit football and cheer organization, to building a global movement with the GFFL, Jay has been a driving force in growing the sport and creating opportunities for athletes worldwide. Jay, how you doing today, my man?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing great and glad to have you on. So it'd be great if we could start with just getting a brief background on yourself and what led you to start the Global Flag Football League.
I guess a passion for football in general. You know, um, I was always an athlete. Growing up, football was always my favorite sport. But as I got to high school, my dad kind of talked me into playing football. One, to avoid the injury, and two, because I could play baseball. Baseball's not a sport a lot of guys can play.
Hmm.
And before I went through, my senior year, I was an MVP of my senior year, and then I went on to play a year of college. But I like girls and partying a lot more than I like baseball at school at the time, so it didn't really work out for me too well. But I came back home. And, I was a hard worker, and I went to work part time for a friend of my father's, just doing some part time work. But he saw some potential in me, and after working there for just about 3 months, he offered me 25% of the company to move to West Palm Beach, Florida, and open my own shop over there. So, at 20 years old, I could either keep going to college, which I didn't really want to do, or, I could take this opportunity. So I did it. But, I was over there for 3 months, and uh, August 3rd, 21 days before my 21st birthday, I fell asleep driving and woke up in the hospital and able to move from the next one
Hmm.
to where the journey started. It was tough. A lot of years. For about 5 years, I was out path for myself, and then I got involved with county team. You might remember Nick Bonacani from the Miami Dolphins. His son Mark was injured making a tackle for the Citadel, and he started an organization to raise money for spinal cord research, and I got involved in that. I did that for a while, and then I started a business working from home, doing air and water purification. I was very successful, but I got an opportunity to start working in football in an arena football company, and they were looking for part time help. First, they hired me as just part time sales, but after a few months, or about a month, they made me a sales manager. And then as the season started, they fired the general manager and put me in charge as general manager. But that didn't work out too well. About halfway through the year, I ran out of money, and I had to cut down and find some local business owners and finish the season, which we were able to. But after that, I caught a bug for football, and I wanted to bring it back, but I ended up bringing it back as a nonprofit semi-pro team,
Got it.
and we offered opportunities to guys. We did first we got them involved in the community doing outreach with foster kids, with childhood cancer, different things like that. We also we offered them opportunities to go to college and also to play professionally. We took it very serious, but I always saw something more, and who knew it was going to be flag football?
Right, right. Well, I mean, it's amazing to see what you've done and push through after, the As you mentioned, that terrible accident, I can never, imagine having to go through something like that. But I mean, it's amazing to see what you've done since. And, your journey's been filled with resilience and perseverance, right? And so, can you share what inspired you to really push forward after that accident and how your experience shaped your not only leadership style, but, gave you the ability to want to push forward to get to where you are today?
Well, first off, I had a very supportive family and very supportive community. When I had my accident, like, man, people were there for me, man. Like, there was a group of girls that went out, girls that I went to high school with, and they collected a bunch of money on the side of the road just to be able to help me pay for a van when I got another one. Some people from the community threw a big fundraiser for me, and like that was very inspiring. But I also, I've always had a belief in God, in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And there were some things. This was a very tough thing at 20 years old. I led a different life when I was a young man. Like, I was always very successful in sports, and you know, like girls just kind of came easy to me and stuff like that. And like, let me give you an example. A couple of times before I had my accident, I was out in public with just friends, and I actually had girls come to me and ask to take my photograph. And I'm not telling you that to impress you, but I'm trying to tell you that to show you, like, my life became so different where I was almost like I went to thinking I was God's gift to women to becoming where I was almost afraid to go out in public because I was so uncomfortable in my skin. Like,
Yeah.
I just felt so all the time. And but when I was in the hospital, all right, let me tell you a story, and I swear this is the God's honest truth. Okay, so I'm in the hospital, I'm dealing with all this stuff, and the doctor comes in, and they had done an MRI, and they told me that they saw something on my side that wasn't supposed to be there.
Okay.
And I'm just, man, I've got, like, I'm never going to walk again. And like, I've got things going through my head. Am I ever going to be with another woman ever again? And now, like, they tell me there's something wrong with something on my side that, like, I'm thinking, is this cancer or is this what's going on with me?
Right.
So they take another MRI and they start wheeling me out of the hospital room. And as I'm going out, a youth pastor and some kids from my church just happened to be coming around the corner.
Wow.
And they came out and I told them what was going on. And they laid hands and they prayed on me as I was going down to the thing. And so they prayed with me and I went down and I came back up and I'm sitting in my room afterwards. And the doctor comes up and the doctor says, I don't remember how long after it was, but the doctor comes up and says to me, I don't know what it was on the MRI, but whatever it is, it's not there now.
Wow.
Don't worry. And that was like I started, like, I don't know why, but I started really on a thought level of like, you know, I can make a decision here, like, to do, like, I can give up, and it would be real easy to just give up and say screw this, like, or maybe I can use this somehow for to do something, to, like, my life isn't over, and maybe I can do that and show people that that you can actually do something. And I don't know exactly where it was in the journey that thought process hit me, but well, and I'll tell you another thing that I had was, like, my mom and dad. My mom and dad were married for 68 years. Like, I have a very, very close family, and one thing I knew is if I showed how scared, worried, or like just how it was affecting me, I knew how much it would affect my family. So
Right.
like I kind of had to face like everything was okay, and like and everybody will tell you that nobody really knew what I was going through those times because I would always do it when I was by myself. It was like me and God in the in private, and wrestling through this, this ordeal. But this isn't a life I would wish on anybody. But I can definitely tell you that it's definitely something that made me a better man because you know what I'm saying, who I was and the path I was on before this happened, and the growth and being able to look and see God and seeing life from a totally different angle, I think is really just given me an opportunity that a lot of people never get.
Right. Like you said, I mean, it's you could have just given up, and you were given another chance. With obviously the accident was very serious, and so luckily you came out of it alive. And I'm thankful for it, and I'm sure a lot of people are thankful that you're here. And so you're right. You could have easily just given up and went the other direction, but instead you persevered and you've fought and you've gotten to where you are today, and you've started such an incredible flag football league now. Even before that, with the Florida Stingrays, I mean, you've been very successful with it, and so. I did want to shift gears a little bit and ask what led you ultimately to make the decision to start the Global Flag Football League? Was there like a defining moment that made you just say, yes, this needs to happen?
Yeah, well, yeah, I've wanted to do some type of a league with former NFL players, and that's kind of what I've been pushing for years. And about well, it's been a little over a year now. I was in a situation. I was working with a major college, the biggest college, that football team, Ohio State University. Not
Hmm.
Ohio State. I was working with one of their somebody who was running their NIL collective,
Okay.
and we were looking for something in Columbus, possibly. And if we were going to do it in Columbus, we wanted to have other schools close where we could do it in other cities. So I was watching a Monday night football game uh, with the Cowboys and the Chargers, and they mentioned Pat White was a coach for the Chargers.
Yeah.
So when they mentioned, I remember when he played for Morgantown for West Virginia, and so I just got on Instagram like I did to all the other NFL players I'm working with, basically, and just got on Instagram. I told him what we were doing, and you know, I told him, I'd love to talk with him about it. And that was a Monday night game. I went to bed after sending that message, but I woke up in the morning and I had a message back from him after the game. He was like, Jay, this is a great idea, but can you talk, this afternoon? And so that afternoon, me and Pat White got on the phone, and he basically said, Jay, all these guys that are stars in college, but they don't quite make it in the NFL, they're not going to go to like the UFL or like arena football and get themselves killed because they've got too many opportunities. If you were a star at Ohio State, whether you go to the NFL or not, your life is set. You're never going to pay for another meal in Columbus.
Right.
You're good. Um, Basically, those guys aren't going to go into something like that. But did you know that flag football is going to be in the Olympics in 2028? I was
Yes.
like, oh yeah. And he was like, guys that were stars in college for a chance to go to the Olympics and make some money, they might do something like that. So when we got off the phone, I texted a former player that I had been in contact with, and I just told him, "Hey, man, what do you think about this idea?" And he texted me right back, like, "Oh, I might think about it." But then he double texted me. He's like, "Jay, there's so many guys walking around Columbus. We would win this thing. Let's make it happen." So that's when I started reaching out to like the first one of the first people was Marnie Schneider, who Marnie's grandfather, Leonard Toast, used to own the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hmm.
And her mother, Susan Spencer, is the first and only ever female GM in the history of the NFL. Well, I reached out to her because we were in a book together a couple years ago called Pulling Each Other Along. And we became friends through that. So when I reached out to her and told her about this flag football thing, she was like, "Oh yeah, Jay, whatever you need me for, I'm in." And like to a T, all these football players that I started reaching out to said the same thing. And I'll tell you, I had been in contact with Achilles Smith a few years ago about something, and I had his phone number in my phone, and I was like, I'll give him a call. So I called Achilles Smith. Well, Patrick Johnson just happened to be sitting in the passenger seat when I called it, and
Yeah.
that's how I met Patrick, who's now the president of the league.
Oh, that is amazing, and it's crazy how things come together, and you're absolutely right. I think there's just a lot of players that are standing around right now and they want the opportunity to continue to play football, whether it's playing or whether they're, owning a team. We can get into that in a little bit, but it's just the fact that they want to continue to express and share their expertise in the sport. This gives them that opportunity, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that, have that great, incredible talent and they go to the NFL. Maybe they're there a year, a couple years, and, they get, whatever. There's other players that come in. Man, there's a lot of guys with a lot of talent walking around on the street that, we can give an opportunity to, and a lot of women.
Yep, you're right about that exactly. And I think that's a great aspect of it as well, is that it's not just for men, it's for women as well. And there's just going to be, I think I don't think, obviously the sport is blowing up right now, for men and women and the opportunity for them. I mean, if there's a lot of girls who want to play football and you only see them go until majority, maybe Pop Warner, some make it to the high school level, but very minimal. So the fact that they have the opportunity to now play this, some in high school, some in college, and I'm sure in the next coming years, I'm sure you agree that it's going to be, across the nation, right?
I'll tell you, we have the Global Flag Football League has a goal, and I believe it's a very doable goal that we are going to make women's professional flag football the most popular and successful women's sport in the world within 5 years. I truly believe that. I mean, there's so many women athletes out there that just have nowhere to go. That's a real viable, like professional opportunity in sports. I mean, you got the WNBA, you got, but a real viable opportunity to make a real income. I mean, in the Global Flag Football League, we're going to pay men and women the same. And so, in each franchise or each organization, I should say, is going to have a men's team and a women's team. So, I think by blending these, I think we can really take female sports to another level, and I'm really excited about that. I have a stepdaughter that, we put her in soccer and she likes to do different things. So, it can be pretty exciting.
Right. Yeah. So you say equal pay. Do you think like in the long run, it'll be similar to like the NFL? So quarterbacks get paid higher, certain athletes get paid higher. Do you think it's going to be pretty even across the board?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll get like that where, quarterbacks will make more and the star athletes, but the whole idea is that there'll be like a cap for the women and a cap for the men so that like, you're not like paying all the men like, you know what I'm saying, way more
Right.
with equal, opportunity. And women are going to have the opportunity to really be a part of that and push that with our with the way we're going to fund the teams, and everything. We're going to be able to, giving women the opportunity to really get behind this and push this, this women's sport. I mean, it'll, we can actually give them a little bit of the responsibility to help us make this what we know it can be.
Right. Right. So I understand the nationwide league getting put together and all the teams across, me and Patrick had talked about it in a recent episode, but getting teams in all the major cities. So why do you think now is the perfect time for a global league? And so reaching out to different countries and working with, them as well, is it more driven because of the Olympics?
Well, yeah, the Olympics is a big part of it. one thing I think is, the world is starting to play football, but I think flag football is a lot quicker way for the world to catch up.
Hmm.
I mean, there's different skills in the game of the tackle football that in flag football that are just different. And so this is a real opportunity, I think, to get the world on a global scale participating together, where it's not just every 4 years for the Olympics, where there's a couple of leagues in Africa, a league in Europe, a league in the United States, a league in down in South America and Mexico, and then we come together. Those leagues all play, and then we can bring the champions together every year for like a global tournament. And we'll do it somewhere different every year.
Got it. Yeah, I think Patrick was mentioning something similar, maybe like a World Cup potentially, right? Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's incredible. I think the opportunity right now with how it's just blowing up, I think there's going to be tons of traction, and obviously you guys have all the right people in place, and it's growing fast, and excited about that tournament in Vegas. And Patrick did touch on it a little bit, but I'd love for you to speak a little bit more about the tournament coming up in Vegas in August.
Yeah, it's gonna be an invitational tournament. Basically, what we're doing is we've hooked up with a company called All 22 Global Scouting, and athletes can go register on their website, all22.org, and players are going to be drafted from their profile, the tape they put up. They can't put up their numbers. They have to participate in a combine or get real numbers to participate. But they can put up video, they can put up stuff like that, and then players are going to be able to be drafted for the tournament that'll be in August, and it's going to be 10 days. We're actually really close to finalizing a supporter of this, and it's gonna be a real, it's gonna be a big tournament. It's gonna be, next level. We want to make sure uh, everything that we do with this, like, a lot of these organizations will start, and it's like they got a great idea, and then they'll launch, and like the first like little opportunity to make money is really just to get them to the next opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden they'll host like tryouts and they'll
Right,
make a little bit of money, but they don't really have it to go forward. What we wanted to do was make sure we had a budget to make sure we can fulfill everything we're not guessing at where we're going. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And we can do it professionally, do it like a top notch for these athletes, because the whole goal, and we realize we can't, right off the bat, but the whole goal of this is to make it so that these athletes are paid like real professional athletes. They don't have to go bag groceries in the off season to make extra money.
right.
We want to make this a professional sport.
Yeah, definitely. And so a little bit more detail on the tournament in Vegas. It's not going to be round robin, right? Because there's going to be, 14, 16, potentially 20 teams there, right? So, and you said 10 days. Is the tournament going to be going on for 10 days or is it?
What we're going to do is we're going to draft the players and bring them there. Then the players will be able to work out together for about a week,
Got it.
5 days. It'll be like the last 2 or 3 days. Patrick would actually be better on the details of the tournament than me. I'm, more cup of tea.
Right, right. Yes, you're right. And so, and we talked about it a little bit, and we both, have spoken saying that it's still new. There's still a lot of things that there's some little intricacies that we gotta, still iron out.
Yeah, the players are going to get, there's going to be they're going to get meals. They're going to get it's going to be a paid work trip. It's going to be they're going to get meals. They're going to get their hotel, their travel. A little a swag bag when they get there. From the sponsoring companies and stuff like that. So it'll be top notch.
Yeah, for sure. No, that is perfect. I know a lot of people are excited. I've talked to a few people already about it, and even some top of the line guys that were here in the Northern Nevada area we're talking about it, and they're excited about it. So, the opportunity to try to get onto a team, right? Because I mean, like we said, this is the elite league, so it's going to be difficult. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people signing up. And have you guys been able to see a list of people already starting to sign up?
To be honest, we haven't really gone into that. We just kind of kicked it off last week, and I will be having a meeting, I think, next week with Derek Sawyer, who's the leader at A22, and we'll see how that's been going. They already had a database of like, I think 40,000 athletes or something like that. So yeah, they've got it. They've been doing this. So, but it's just great to be able to kind of put our scouting department in their hands. And now we've got a database of video and everything of all these players. So if you want to be a part of it, make sure you go sign up at all 22.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we'll make sure the link is in the show notes as well to make it a little bit easier for anyone who's listening and is interested. Yeah, so thanks for touching on that, Jay. I do appreciate it. So I know we talked a little bit about what you see in the future for women's, but what do you see long term, like your long term vision for the Global Flag Football League, and what do you see in the next 5 to 10 years as a whole?
Well, I'll tell you, I think with the way that flag football is growing, and to be honest, there are a lot of people that are starting to shy away from tackle football a little bit. I think global flag football is, I think flag football is really on the cusp of being the next like big worldwide sport. I really believe that. I mean, there's so much athleticism involved. Like when you even watch the girls and the guys, like there's so much athleticism involved. Um, it's like flag football is something that really everybody can do. You know, everybody can play flag football. So just from a standpoint of, I don't know what it is about football, particularly when it comes to sport, that it's just something different, like, baseball, soccer, basketball, there's just something different about football for people. You've got a lot of like other countries that are really starting to grow as far as putting on leagues. Like there's very if you look around the world, there's countries that are really putting together very organized leagues.
Right.
Um, I really think this can be something that catches on more than soccer worldwide and can really be I mean, I don't want to get above my britches,
Right, right.
but you know, flag football could be the most popular sport in the next 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's going to definitely skyrocket in different countries. And, Patrick talked a little bit about Europe. He talked about Canada, Mexico. Do you see any other countries right now? Are you in talks with anyone else right now to bring the sport there?
Yeah, it's not like we're in depth talk. We do have Europe. We've got a great team in Europe put together already, and we've got one organization already looking to come on board. That's already come on board there. We've talked to Corey Leggett. Actually, Corey Leggett was looking at talking about doing a team in Tijuana, Mexico. Um, I've had conversations. I had conversations a few months ago with a guy that was talking about having our like all-star team come over to Dubai and do a week-long camp with a bunch of kids there, and then do our all-star game there.
Wow.
Um, got a conversation with somebody in West Africa that they're putting together flag football leagues there, and they were looking for football. So, man, and I actually had a conversation with somebody in Australia as well. Australia is going to be a hard one because their cities are so spread apart, but
Right.
the bigger cities and the smaller, there's a lot of smaller cities there. But even Australia, I've had people contacting me, all from there. So, um, yeah, it's once we kick off the tournament and everybody kind of sees what this is, I think we'll really start having this pop up in other countries around everywhere. And I'm hoping to have a Mexican league by the second year.
Got it. Got it. So what's the knowledge base? Have you done your research on what the knowledge base is in other countries? Like, are a lot of them, up to speed on the game of football? Obviously, in the US, it's one of the most popular, if not the most popular sport, in the US. So in other countries, have you had discussions with people who might not be as acclimated to the sport?
Yeah, it's to be honest, like Europe, there's a lot of organized leagues over in Europe. USA Flag has done a really good job of expanding flag football around the world. Um, the European, they've got some great leagues over there. Really, all the countries have their own leagues, and there's a lot of the South American teams. It's really you'd be astonished at how many. I can't exactly. I think it's the last I saw. It's like 20 million people around the world are playing flag football.
Wow. Yeah,
It's
that's
a lot.
right, right, definitely. And that gives them that gives them the opportunity to grow into it professionally, And so as kids, if they can start now and then they can work their way up, I mean, that's going to be a lot of kids here as well, if they don't want to go the route of traditional football and they want to go the flag route, like you said, 20 years from now, that could be an opportunity, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of athletic kids out there that just don't have the aggression for tackle football. Doesn't mean you can't play football anymore.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Well, Jay, that was great. Thank you for sharing that. So anyone who's listening right now and they want to get involved, whether it's a player, coach, or supporter, how do they go about being a part of the GFFL movement?
I'll tell you, number one, make sure you're following us on our social media platforms because our information is coming out pretty quickly. We're having a lot of information come out. If you're a player or a coach, get registered with all22.org. Contact myself or contact Patrick to get involved. But yeah, we're looking. We're definitely looking. We're going to be looking for coaches and players and pretty much people at every level. So
Right. Yeah, Patrick mentioned modeling after similar to like the NFL, 32 teams. Is that kind of what you guys are still imagining as the end goal is about that 32 team threshold?
yeah, yeah. I mean, with flag football, you can maybe push it and go into major college towns as well. But yeah, I think we want to mostly stick to the NFL cities.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome, Jay. Well, thank you so much for sharing this and speaking with me today and giving everyone the insights on the GFFL. I'm really excited about it, and I know you guys are too. And I'm looking forward to continuing to spread the message as the best way I can.
Great, Dylan. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you doing this podcast for us. Really, it gives us all another level of professionalism, and I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Looking forward to speaking with the coaches and players and everyone in the future.
Yeah, looking forward to working with you, man.